Welcome. So this is the first revision session for the A-Level Music Tech. This is the first run through for the new specification, and we're just coming up to the point of doing our first exam. It freaks us out a little bit because we've never done this before, so we're not really sure of what to expect, although we understand the structure and we understand how things are going to kind of pan out. So in my first revision session with my students yesterday, I just literally went through the component 3 exam with them. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm just going to show you the paper, show you the structure of how it's going to be, and just talk about anything that might cause you guys a little bit of a problem. This is a new format, so we've not done this particular format before. It'd be lovely to hear from you guys and tell us what you think. If you like it, we'll post more. If you don't like it, then obviously we'll do less, but it'd be great to hear what you guys think about this. The idea is we're currently in the Easter holidays, so I'm going to try and do one of these videos every single day. Big mission, but that's the plan. So it might be a bit ad hoc, it might be kind of a bit rough around the edges, but I just really want to get it out there and kind of share some advice and give you guys some tips for revising and give you every chance of success. So today we're just going to look at the walkthrough for component 3. I'm going to show you all the questions, I'm going to show you the structure, we're going to look at any possible problems, and then I'm going to leave it at that. We're also going to do the same for the walkthrough 4 in a different video, and then we're going to break down individual questions and we're going to look at the information you need. Now, before you start freaking out, before you start panicking, remember you've been doing this course now, this is your second year, and you have this information. If you've completed components 1, if you've completed components 2, you have this information, you understand all the things that you need. The reason this might be slightly challenging is because you're going to put it into a theoretical approach now, but you do have this information, so we're just going to jog some of that stuff out of you and make sure that you're happy and you're comfortable. So let's go and have a look at the paper and let's walk through it. So here it is. Let me just switch over. Here's the paper. So the first thing you need to know is an hour and a half. And what I always say to my students is pace yourself. Make sure you understand how long it's going to take you to answer each question. So in total, there are 2 sections, a section A and a section B. This is for the full A level, not the AS. The AS is ever so slightly different. In the AS, you still have a section A and a section B, but the section B only has 1 question. So you have, for the A level, you have 6 questions in total, 4 questions for section A and then 2 questions for section B. So keep this in mind that you're going to need to pace yourself out and know exactly how long it's going to take you to answer each one. So before you get going, make sure you look at the front cover. Make sure you fill in these boxes. Now, in the past, I have had students that have kind of missed out, or they've kind of put nicknames in here rather than their full names. Do not do that. Make sure you understand your centre number. Make sure you understand your candidate name. In my centre, they put it on the table, so that's never really a problem. But you don't want to get thrown by anything, okay? You want to be so prepared when you go into that exam that it's not a problem. It's not going to cause you any issues. Now, this paper that we're looking at now is the sample paper, so it will change. And unfortunately, as far as official papers go, I don't have any official papers because you are the first people to run through. If you need practice papers, you can come over to Music Tech Student, and if you head on over to the A-level area, you will find lots and lots of resources for this. If you haven't already done so, you should sign up to the newsletter because we give loads of extra information and loads of extra stuff. So at the bottom of every page you have this sign up. If you sign up here, almost every week we'll give you stuff and we'll send you out some new revision practice. Anyway, let's move on. So it's an hour and a half exam. Make sure you've got your headphones. Now make sure, if you're using your own headphones or if you're using the school's headphones, make sure that both the left speaker and the right speaker works. Listen to a really good commercial track. Make sure you can hear the full frequency range. Make sure you can hear the panning from left to right. Make sure you've got an individual audio player. Now in my centre we tend to use the computers, so just make sure the CD player works. And so many computers now don't even have CD players, so this might cause a few problems when you're going through. So before you even get to the exam, make sure you've got headphones and make sure you've got something to play that CD on, because if you haven't, you're just going to go straight into panic mode. Follow the instructions through here. So in one year, they wrote a piece or one of the questions on the back page, and this threw a student out completely, and she completely missed that particular question. So do check the back page, make sure there's nothing on that back page as well. Make sure you've got the correct pen with you, so make sure you've got black ink pen. Make sure you fill in all the questions and know that it's worth 75. So as we go through now, we need to just look at how to answer the questions, what's going to be involved. So here we go, we're on section A and we're looking at question 1. Now question 1 will be broken up into 4, maybe even 5 different questions. It always starts slightly simpler than, so as you move through it will get more complex. So here you need to know that if you get it right, you need to put an X in this box, or if the one that you want to use, you need to put an X in the box. If you decide that you're not going to use that, you have to put a strike through it. Be very clear, be very concise. Another thing is when you're writing descriptions, some of my students, they write really rough. Excuse me. So the examiner can barely read it. Now be warned, if the examiner cannot read your handwriting, you will not get the mark. Even if you feel, oh, I'm just being a bit clever, I'm making it hard so they might think this, they might not think this. The examiner will never think something that isn't there, so you will not get the mark. So write as clearly as you can. If you don't write clearly, you won't get the mark. End of story. As clever as you think that might be. So look over to the right hand side and you've got the actual numbers here. So it tells you exactly how much a question is worth. If it's worth 1 mark, don't spend an absolute age on it because you're only going to get 1 mark on it. If you've got a written example with 1 mark, they are literally only looking for 1 example. So don't write this, and this. Also check the time referencing. In some instances, this is very, very rare, but the student ends up listening to the wrong part of the track, or they can't get to the right track. This is where having a computer system is so much better than an old-fashioned CD player, because you can actually really quickly, really easily fast forward to the point in the track. So you're not wasting loads of time just finding the reference point and knowing that it's just for 1 mark. Look at the kinds of questions and also make sure that you read through them as well. What's next then? So here we go, we're on question 1C. This one's worth 2 marks, but they're very clear about this particular one and they've given you 2 questions to answer. I'm just going to briefly go through this paper, so I'm not looking at the question types at the moment, but you should be looking at the question types. You should be making sure that you understand about the characteristics of an analog tape player. If you don't, put that on your revision list. So write a little list for yourself and say, oh, I don't quite know this, and then I'm going to go and do a bit more research on it. So moving through, that's question 1. So as you can see, it's broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individual questions. It's worth 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 marks. Okay, so it's worth 7 marks out of a possible 75 marks. So you're not going to want to spend too long. It's about it's about 10%. Okay, so moving on. The next one we got then is question 2. Sorry, that was 10 marks, my bad. So moving on, question 2. Now we're getting into more essay type questions and we're looking at dynamic processing. So one thing I do say to my students is you will need to understand how dynamic processing works as one of the key topics. That along with other effects, that along with recording techniques, synthesis, sampling, they're the ones that kind of come up quite a bit. So here we have a 3-mark question. So they are looking for individually three points to be made. So just make sure that you understand that. So let's just move through this. So in question 2, as you can see straight away, they are a lot more complex. There's only 3 questions for this one, worth 10 marks, but they are asking you to kind of identify your knowledge, or they're looking for you to be able to say, right, I know how this stuff works, and they're giving you an opportunity to show you, or for you to show them the information that you know is correct and viable. Try and be concise, try not to waffle on. The worst thing you can do is waffle on, and sometimes I say to my students, right, if you need to write in structured sentences, so it might even be that if you're allowed a scrap piece of paper, which in most cases you are, and in most cases you have to attach the scrap piece of paper with a cross through it to say that it's not for marking. But I say to my students, write a bullet point list out and then structure it. It's worth 4 marks. It's worth spending maybe 2 or 3 minutes just kind of getting this one right and understanding the information before you commit it. In some instances, you'll also be marked on your quality of written communication as well. So the way that you write, the way that you structure your sentences. So just make sure that you are spending a little bit of time and you're phrasing correctly. So that's question 2. So question 3, once again, we're still moving through. Come into this. If you want this paper, by the way, you can find it over on the Edexcel website, which is under course materials and then specifications and samples, and it's near the bottom here. It's the latest one, so they've got 2 here. They've got the first one and they've got this February one. So just make, when you're going through them, the question sheet, just make sure you're using the latest one. Okay. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about section A. So have a look through section A. Like I say, in one of the next videos we will look at the questions and we'll delve deeper into the subject knowledge. But I just wanted to show you the paper. That is my main mission today. So now on to section B, and you have 2 types of questions, section B. Question 5, which will always be a comparison. So you'll be comparing something. You'll be comparing 2 tracks done by 2 different artists in 2 different genres, and then you'll be writing your comparisons down. It is worth 15 marks, so spend a bit of time in it. Once again, if you can get some scrap paper, you will have to strike through it, of course, but you can write your bullet points down. Write between 10 and 15 bullet points. To be fair, on a 15-mark question, 7 or 8 points will probably get you the full marks. But if you were to write 10 points, and don't make them too repetitive either. You're almost guaranteed that you will get those points. So don't waffle, don't make it repetitive. Be concise and to the point. Once again, we will go through this and we'll look at how you're meant to answer this question and what kind of things will get you that mark. Okay, so moving on to question 6, which is the final question and section B. And this is going to be some kind of technical question. It will be an essay one. So in this particular one, you're looking at the development of digital audio workstations. It has used a comparison track of Britney Spears, but you can draw this information from anywhere. Now, this video has gone on as long as it needs to. Oh, one more thing. It is worth 20 marks. So this is the biggest question, okay? So once again, spend a bit of time. And you do need to work out how long it's going to take you to write a 20-mark essay or a 15-mark essay. If you don't understand that, what tends to happen is you run out of time. You run out of time to actually do it. So let's talk about structuring. You know now that you have 6 questions. You know exactly how much they're worth. So section B was worth 35 marks. Section A, if we scroll back to section A, was worth 40 marks. And your mission is to structure it so that you spend the appropriate amount of time on each. Now, one technique that some students use is to quickly go through. So if you spent, say, 5 minutes at the beginning of your exam and you go through and you look at each of the questions before answering, that's one way of doing it. Another technique, because the bulk of the marks are in section B, so let me just scroll back to section B. Because the bulk of the marks are in section B, what some students do is they go straight to section B and they read the questions first. And this is a really good technique. So if you spent 5 minutes at the beginning of your exam and you just made some bullet points about questions 5 and question 6, that would set you in good stead. So when you get to those questions later on, you won't freak yourself out and go, oh God, I've got 10 minutes left and I don't know what I'm doing here. You'd actually already have a few bullet points that you can restructure and you can have a look at. So, final notes from me then. Look at the exam paper, so you know where it is now, you know how to get it, and just practice your structure. Have a think about how long it's going to take you to answer each of those questions and go from there. In the next session then we will break down each of the question types. So we're going to look at question 1 first, and we're going to look at some of the things that are going to come up and that you might struggle on. So have a look through the question paper and I'll see you in the next video.